and charming and just lay somebody out.
I think we all agree with Nick. Women can be funny.
Yeah.
No, I never said that.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I just said I follow.
They can tell jokes.
I just said I follow.
It's
They
underneath
can tell
Whitney.
jokes.
Whitney, underneath your fanny pack is a...
What you need,
We're
Willis?
starting the show.
He needs that.
Everybody, shut up.
Oh.
This episode is
we
made
should let her
possible
do
by
it.
our therapy partners, Dirty B, Myra, and Pickett.
Pickett!
From
there it
fabulous
is,
Las
there it
Vegas,
is.
Nevada.
It's only
This
been a
is
year.
Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman. Oh, wait. And now, broadcasting return. That's Jim. I'm Whitney. And that's Nick. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
Man, it's like you at dinner with Mr. Cosby.
Nailed it.
Welcome, everybody.
Nailed it.
So good to have you back as we chug along into the new year. This is the first episode of February.
Can I read those names today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to do the naming
Wait,
list?
technically is the 31st on Wednesday?
Yeah, but this comes out Thursday, so technically
the early
our
one's
air
Wednesday.
date is when it
Okay.
airs for everybody, not just the fancy people at the top, the
You
high
guys sure do
rollers.
throw
who
around that
pay-
technically word a lot.
Yeah, we've been throwing that
Technically.
around.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/therapy.
There it is.
Go
get
subscribe.
there. This was
for
a
as
good
little
one.
as $2 a month. You can
Oh, that's right.
subscribe
Yeah,
and get
up to
the early show. You can get the show
Yeah.
that comes out early, and you get a lot of Patreon only content,
Thank you.
including a fabulous conversation we had today
Yeah.
about comedians and Nick's view on just a certain
Controversial.
group of comedians really
Controversial.
succeeding
Yes.
where he didn't expect them to.
No, well, no one expected him to.
No.
To be fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Yeah. He took the over on
That's
that
not a
one.
lie.
Yeah. Really came out ahead on that one.
In fairness, Nick was mostly right.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, I could stay for that.
Yep.
We got some great questions for the show today. The first one, this is so funny. You know, for years I've kind of been thinking this question was going to eventually arrive, and now it has.
Oh,
And
boy.
so
I'm
we finally
excited.
get to
What's with
clarify this. Yeah, so like, what's the deal with Jim? Can he not geography, therapy, or life coaching?
Woo.
From Anonymous. Here we go.
We know the answer.
Hello, Pod Therapy. I hope you are all...
What is better for the patient? What is better for the employee?
That's right. I hope you are all having a great new year. I'm a regular listener going through the Pod Therapy backlog, but I've not heard everything, so apologies if something similar has been asked and answered. For a bit of background, I'm a 29 if you read this after the end of January, year-old, currently living...
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Currently living at home with my parents. Back in 2022, I quit my low-paying office job and attended a coding boot camp program to begin a career as a software engineer. For the first time in a long time, I was excited to get up early in the morning because I knew that I was taking a step towards the next phase of my life. After the program ended, the job search began, and I expected to spend a few months submitting applications and awkwardly smiling through interviews before eventually finding a job. I viewed this job search time as being between two phases of my life, and I did not consider it worth trying to make friends, date, or really live my life until I was financially independent and living on my own. At this point, it has been about a year and a half since I began the job search. The vast majority of my applications never get a response, and I've gone months at a time without getting invited to an initial interview or phone screening call. I feel ashamed when my dad asks how the search is going, and I have nothing to show for my time and effort. All I want is to be able to move out and begin living my life again, make new friends, date, and be independent. But at this point, there isn't an end in sight. My brother went through the same program a few years before I did, and he got a job within 2 months. And when my father was my age, he was traveling the world for his career. I'm tired, and I've been spending a lot of time playing video games as an escape from my feelings of being a failure. I've been putting off talking to a therapist because I let the thought of potentially having to relocate or change insurance deter me from reaching out. I do intend to see a therapist and talk through my problems, but I wanted to ask if a life coach might be more helpful in the short term while I'm stuck in this rut. I've heard life coaching is more objective-oriented, which sounds good, though I don't exactly know what that means. If you have any feedback on which direction to go between therapy and life coaching, I would love to hear it. Between 2.5 therapists and 1.5 life coaches, I'm looking forward to any guidance you all have. I wonder how those splits worked. Thank you all for
He's not that tall.
much. Thank you all so much for reading. Alex, pronouns are he and him. P.S. Try sprinkling some granola in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I figured adding this note was the best chance I've got to make a difference in the world today, even if this doesn't get read on the podcast.
Sounds pretty like solid advice.
Sounds really good.
Crunchy peanut butter.
Yeah.
I mean,
It does
but
sound really
granola
good.
sounds way better than crunchy peanut butter.
Yeah, a little granola
Here's-
in there with the peanut, with like a
Yes.
smooth peanut butter.
Okay.
Oh, damn.
That sounds pretty solid.
There's
All right, next
four-
question.
there's-
Yeah, that was it.
There's 4 of us in the room. Only
Yes.
3 of us need to answer this. So I'm going to run to the store real quick.
Yeah, that's fine.
Go
Get some
grab
granola.
some
Yeah.
some peanut butter,
Which
jelly,
you are allergic
bread,
to, by the way.
which I still eat. Yeah.
He might be
Which
allergic
one?
to
Peanuts or
granola
granola?
and
I
jelly.
have a peanut allergy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
it is.
He likes to spread it on his, shellfish. That's his favorite way to eat
so
it.
shellfish.
This is a tough one. So you guys probably all see ads for these coding boot camps. I see them all the time, and I don't know that I've ever clicked on anything. Have you ever seen these ads?
No.
Really? So
Coding boot camp.
yeah. So okay, I see them all the time. I guess it's probably affiliated with UNLV, so I guess I see them that way.
Okay.
But this is a thing. So like obviously the tech industry boomed, and a lot of people were like, "Hey, you can jump right into like these great 6-figure gigs. You're working from home. All you got to do is learn how to code." So a lot of programs started launching these coding boot camps where you don't have to go get a whole bachelor's degree in computer science and learn every single layer of every single thing. You just learn this very functional coding language, and then you go work for Google or any of the tech companies, and you can start at a really decent pay, and they needed people to do this. And then there was a bunch of other programs that were like Google-based, where you can get certificates as a database engineer and all these other things. And the thing was, you could do this in like 6 months, and it was like a full-time, course you were taking. But when you complete it, you're competent and you can actually get out into this industry and do really well for yourself. So it's one of those things that I think has been really hit and miss in the market, because I hear stories like this all the time where I think if you got in like 5 years ago, you finished it and got right into a job. And like apparently everybody started doing this, which is why there are boot camps everywhere. And now we're watching the tech industry sort of have a contraction, I think, as we record this. There's been a lot of layoffs. And
Just today.
Specifically today. And so I don't know what the economy is around this, but I have met a lot of people who have tried to like reboot a career like in a smart, intelligent, direction, and then kind of get out there and keep swinging the bat and hitting the air. And that's really discouraging.
What's the writer's name? Did they give a
Alex.
name? Alex.
Pronouns are he and him.
So my first thought when I was kind of hearing the email was like, you can't be put off by not getting the gig. You can't
Right.
you can't worry about that. And I think that happens to people all the time. It used to happen to me all the time. And that is when you start kind of tying your personhood a little too closely to that whole
Right.
work thing. You need to stay away from that. I'd work on that a little bit. And that's the kind of advice you get from a life coach.
I knew he was going there. I was like, wait for it.
I'm your life coach, Jacob.
Light.
Just
And there's
been
the
life
pyros.
coach.
Wow.
Almost forgot the pyro.
I know. Hurry.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to get out ahead on this whole life coaching thing, because I'm just going to throw that smelly fish out there,
Wow,
and then you guys
Jim
can all
feels
dance around.
confident
it.
about
let's
this.
go with it.
Fight.
Yeah.
So, okay, the life coaching thing has not been discussed since season 1,
Ooh.
which, well,
was that when I was on
that's
talking about
why-
my life
I mean,
coaching gig?
that's
season.
why Jacob has the nickname the life coach. It was a joke.
I
we
mean,
were
technically,
making fun
we
of
discussed
them.
it last time your mom was here.
This is true. Because the joke
She
about
won't
life
stop
coaching
calling either.
Oh, that,
I like
For
it.
life
fantastic.
coaching.
It's better when she calls rather than sending you all those lewd text messages.
Disagree.
Yeah. So, okay, for the general public, the joke we started in season 1 has backfired because Jacob is charismatic and likable. So he transcends the joke.
Like all
so
good
the
life
joke has now
coaches?
backfired.
That's right.
All good life coaches.
Like a life coach would be.
Yes, honestly, that's the whole bit. So, life coaching as a general idea, I think it can have a niche. I think there can be room for it. I've seen some interesting versions of it where corporations hire a firm, and that firm specifically puts people through a training protocol, and these folks get involved in corporate culture, and they're not doing psychotherapy, they're not trying to heal mental illness, but they're really helpful at like breaking log jams and systems, and they're kind of like consultants and like personally checking in on people. And I think that that's kind of neat. And I've seen some big companies make use of these internal people, and they'll usually call them a coach, of some kind, because that's functionally what they're doing. Out in the open market, though, look, I'm just going to throw it all out there. Coaching is mostly a fucking scam. Okay, it's mostly a pyramid scam where you just have anybody can walk out there and say they are a fucking life coach. Then they want some credibility, so they go online, they join a certificate course, they just pay a shit ton of money, take a bunch of online bullshit courses, pass them really quick, and then the whole fucking
or
life
their
coaching
podcast
thing,
co-hosts just get them business cards that say that they're a life coach.
it's a lot cheaper. They didn't pay anything for those. But it's all you have to do is be anointed by any institution that calls itself a life coaching institution.
I disagree with that.
You don't even need that.
I don't think you have to be anointed by anything.
Not at all.
You just have to be confident enough and charismatic enough to go do it. I'll tell you exactly what I tell people when they ask me what this show is and what my role on this show is. This is real.
This is
All
fun.
right,
All
this is
right,
cool.
go on.
I say there is a show. It's called Pod Therapy. There are 3 licensed therapists on the show. People write in with real questions, and the 4 of us comment on those questions. The 3 therapists obviously comment on the therapist part. I comment on kind of the real world part, and I'm funny in between.
Yep.
We call me the life coach because you don't have to have any qualifications to be a life coach.
To give
we
the advice.
accidentally
So that
gave
is-
a lot of
That is
credibility.
the answer that I give when people ask me what my role on this show is. I say I'm a life coach,
Yes.
and it's a joke
It's
because
the
you
joke.
don't have to be. You have to do anything to be a life coach.
This is why this is backfired. One, that fucking awesome fucking jingle has given
you
him
have a jingle-
so much credibility. And it's funny
and
because
control
people
over the lights in the room.
Well, people
Yeah,
love
the
Jacob.
lights
And so
are
they
what do
hear
it
it. And
for
it's
me.
funny because people will describe our show and they'll be like, yeah, there's these 3 therapists and a life coach. It's like, he's not trying to be a life coach. Like, it's
As far as you know, as far as you
But I'm as
know.
much a life coach as anyone is.
Exactly. And that accidentally gives a lot of credibility to it
No.
because you actually give good advice.
So my recommendation on whether or not to see a life coach honestly would just be if you find someone that you want to talk through about it and you
Right.
think they give good advice
There you
and they
go.
happen to call themselves a life coach, fine. But don't give anyone any credibility just because they call themselves a life
There
coach.
you go.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
No, I would totally agree with that. And I think that is kind of the problem with life coaching.
All you need
Are
is
there-
a jingle.
Are there some great life coaches? Yeah, there probably are.
I'm sure there are.
And they're all on this show.
But there's no way to distinguish
Right.
the good ones
Right.
from the really shitty
Well,
ones.
based on Jim's argument, there is.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
they're not on this show.
This
True.
is 100%. The universe, it's a Venn is a
Yeah.
circle. It's just here.
And honestly, I'll even kind of rip on my own profession a little bit, but like personal training.
Mm.
It's not all that difficult to become a certified personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I did it. You know?
Saying
I
a
was able to
lot.
Any
do it.
idiot can do
Yeah,
it.
and pretty much. And now, and there are some amazing personal trainers who are like really good at their
Let me ask you-
craft.
let me ask
and
you
there
this,
are some
Nick.
that are not.
Personal trainer and or life coach. Can someone become either of those 2 things? This is a real question.
Yeah.
Can someone become either of those 2 things having no knowledge per se of that industry, just with pure, I want to do this, pure determination?
No, because you had to pass a test.
Yeah, I mean, I did have to.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, like I had to read a book, I had to pass a test, and it covered a lot of different things.
Yeah,
as
the
far
trivia
as,
you
like-
gave us from that test was hard.
Yeah, I
But,
mean,
like-
there was some
Like I have
anatomy
zero
and stuff
experience
that.
with being a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
In like 6 months. Could I just be a personal trainer?
Yeah, I mean,
On
I think
paper.
so.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, on paper,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Like, and if you committed to it as far as like learning the curriculum and being able to pass the test, you
Yeah.
could do it.
But
Absolutely.
in 6 seconds, you could become a life coach.
Well, I mean, watch me.
Yeah.
Also-
I'm a life coach.
There it is. And actually, I have another note on that. I want to
I'm like
start
Michael
being
Scott
referred
declaring
to.
bankruptcy.
That's it.
I declare.
I feel like the same rule applies to celebrity chefs. You guys keep seeing these fucking commercials where they're like, oh, come to this place, who's Celebrity Chef Dan. And I'm like, all you are is a chef who's on a commercial and you're instantly a celebrity chef by virtue of being on a commercial.
Nah.
I'm a celebrity chef. I cook in front of an audience. I have kids. I make them fucking mac and cheese. Celebrity chef.
Are you referring to your children as an audience?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no.
I'm like, bam! Like
now we
Emerald
have
and shit.
insight into what Jim's thinking every evening. Yes,
To be fair,
yes.
he's always looked at his children
Yeah,
from a
as an
perspective
audience.
of what can they do for me.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want to put a pin in this though. I
why he
am
charges
really
them a
taking
ticket
issue
price.
with the celebrity chef thing. Okay, this is a hill I'm gonna fucking die on.
We'll have to
This
come
is a
back to
dumb
that
thing.
one.
The celebrity chef thing shouldn't exist. Anyway, let's go back shitting on life coaches.
Okay,
But
back to the
celebrity
writer.
chefs.
I love celebrity chefs.
No, god damn it. You're a celebrity chef. You've cooked in front of me.
Ooh,
I have.
Yes, kinda. I don't know.
he grilled a burger.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
That's true. Well, I
fair.
didn't go to that actually.
Oh, you didn't?
So, but I've heard you did.
Yeah.
Oh, the reputation precedes you. Celebrity
There was an
chef.
audience there. We all watched very closely while Jacob.
That is actually a better argument than Jim's I cooked in front of my kids argument.
Yeah, but where's the barrier? Where's the barrier to entry? You know, at what level are you
Well,
celebrity?
don't they
I
go
think
to
it's the same-
culinary
if I have
school?
a blog about it, I'm a
I think it's the
celebrity
same
chef.
level as just any celebrity.
I feel like chef doesn't
You
have
know
a qualification.
You know
to it.
who a celebrity
Chef,
is.
chef doesn't have a qualification.
but I
yes,
like-
they do.
Denny's has a chef. Like,
No, they
is
have a
that guy
cook.
going
They
to
have
the
a
court
cook.
on blue?
Yeah.
They have a
Oh,
cook,
is
not
there
a
a
chef.
rule on this?
Yeah,
think
haven't you
so.
heard of the CIA, Culinary Institute of America?
That is definitely not what CIA stands for.
It is.
It's what CIA. It's
Sorry.
what they think
Sorry to
CIA
break the
is.
news
Shoot,
for
it
you.
stands for.
Jim, you just got life coached
Yeah.
by a
Shit.
therapist.
Yeah.
This life coaching thing's getting out of
It's
hand.
too bad she doesn't have a jingle.
Yeah,
Doesn't.
I don't.
Shitty life
Because
coach.
I'm a woman.
Nobody write a jingle for Whitney. I'm not going to play it.
Damn it.
It's already been deleted.
I do
I
agree.
get live coach jingles for Whitney every week. Not
I
bad,
was
any of them.
wondering where they went.
Alex, I do agree with Jacob, though. I think this is
Usually a smart move.
Yeah, a really good point, which is that, if this is something that you want to do
Yeah.
and you want to, inquire, but just be able to judge people by what they can, what knowledge they have, what wisdom they can impart upon you, and not necessarily just the title.
I would honestly hire a consultant from that industry that you want to
That's
get
what I was
into.
about to
Oh,
say.
yeah, yeah.
Go for it, Whitney.
There you
I'm gonna
go.
drink
So
a
I was
beer.
just gonna let y'all finish your whole shenanigans.
Celebrity chefery?
Celebrity
'Cause that's what I was
chefery,
doing.
yeah. So that's where
Give
I
you
was
a
going to
kick
go.
back.
That I don't know if I'd call them a quote life coach, but more of a I guess consultant or just a coach, in your industry, because I have seen that with like friends of mine who've been in certain industries, and they will say, I have this coach recommended, and they're very hesitant about it, but once they start, it's like for that specific job or industry is the best word, I think. So I have seen people be helped by that. However, I want to point out that friends of mine who have done that, or the friend in particular I'm thinking of, they have experienced therapy also and did see some tactics. They're not therapizing them,
Sure,
but
sure.
like the journaling, the awareness,
Yeah.
make sure while you're doing this activity, you're aware of what's going on. Like
Yeah,
some very
mindfulness.
surface,
I'm
surface
sure
level
that there
mindfulness.
and again, I don't want to shit on all life coaches like they would do harm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as a general rule, when you get online and you search in your area, you will find that the number one thing life coaches sell are courses in life coaching that you
Yeah.
can become one too.
That
It just
is
becomes this pyramid
weirds me
scheme.
out. I agree.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't
See,
give a
that I
life
had
coach.
not known.
I just wouldn't give a life coach more credence than you would give to a buddy who
Yeah.
you listen to their advice.
Also,
Yeah.
why have we not started the Jacob Smith Life Coach Academy? That's a money machine.
You don't think I'm already doing that?
I was going to
talk
say,
about it
I
on
was
air.
like,
Oh shit!
That's an off-air conversation.
We can just quit this
Let's do
podcast.
this.
Like that's obviously the
mean-
machine.
I can quit this podcast.
I know, right?
Jacob's been looking for a reason to quit
That's
this
the out.
podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure he's been hanging out for the money. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
that's what it is. Yeah.
The beer money doesn't cover his tab. Yeah, this is his charitable venture.
Oh man. The other thing I was gonna say, is your brother's company hiring?
Oh,
I
there
mean,
you
let's
go.
ask
Yeah,
him,
where's your
like,
brother?
anyone, or any connections through that industry wherever he's working? Like, I'm sure you've tried that route, but that's what stuck out to me. And then lastly, just the comparison was hard. That's hard to listen to because we all do it. We all do it. It's very normal. But just my dad was doing this by this age, and my brother got a job in 2 months. And gosh, setting those expectations and comparison will just
Your
beat
dad
you
get
down.
full
so
time
not
much.
only
job
that-
at the local hardware store and put 3 kids through college. and
Exactly.
2 cars and a house.
Exactly. This is 2024. You
Yeah.
cannot compare different generations. It's
not even
completely different. It's like saying
It's a different economic climate.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
it'd be the same as me being like, me knowing somebody who bought Bitcoin, in like 2020 and me buying it now. Like, oh, well, I'm not getting the same results. Yeah, no shit, you're not getting, because it's a completely different thing, and it sucks. It really does suck for the younger generation that this is kind of I honestly believe they've got more challenges now than what, older generations had. That's unfortunate. It is, yeah. So don't compare yourself just do the best that you possibly can, and, just stay as positive as you can, and things will work out.
What are your thoughts? I had a client a while back who was going through, it was like not the boot camp. It was schooling for coding, but it was one of those schoolings where, like, once you finish one class, you can just jump to the next. It's hard to explain.
It's like self-directed.
A little bit more. So you could do it in a few months, or you could do it in the full semester. But once you're done, you reach out. It's all online. You reach out, say, can I take this test to finish or whatever. So yeah, more self-directed. But it still would take probably 2 years to get through the schooling for all of it.
Oh, wow.
And they were working through that. But I asked them about, could you just go do this right now if you wanted to? Because he was like, I already know how to do it, but I'm going through the schooling to look more legitimate on paper and help me get a job. Sure. So I don't want to tell this person, because that is the limited amount I know about that situation. But I wonder
if you need that piece of paper or something, for something, then
it
that's
seems
a different
silly
thing.
Because you know it, but. Again, that's a little bit the climate we're in right now. It's like you just freaking need education.
Some jobs just need a piece of paper.
Certifications. Like in that industry, I've actually got a lot of patients that come from the tech industry. Yeah. And so, just vicariously, I've learned a ton about it, which is really interesting because, even whenever they get the interview, a lot of times they have to demonstrate their skills. And so there are these assessments or tasks or challenges that they're given. Like, okay, here's this, tub of, raw data or whatever. Make us this. And you're just doing it for free.
Is that how you store your data?
In a tub. Yeah.
They're
in plastic
labeled
tubs.
Plastic
I get them at Home Depot. That's where I throw all those floppy disks with all of my good
hard
information.
Talk about your data storage.
Yeah, that's probably
it's just a big Rubbermaid container that's blocking the water shut-off valve in the garage.
It's been really difficult.
He
last
wouldn't
few
know
years.
if it was.
But I really like Whitney's point, because even in therapy land, this is something that happens. There's a lot of therapists that are working for bigger companies or agencies, and they want to break into private practice. It is not uncommon for them to hire a private practice therapist who's already done it and say, I would like to pay you as a consultant.
Yeah.
But they know how to use that time. They come in and go, I'm going to drill. I want all these questions answered. What do I do? And you're just hearing it from the horse's mouth. Okay, do this, don't do this, because there's no book on it.
Right.
No. It's just, here's exactly how I built my practice. Here's how I've seen 50 other people do theirs. I recommend you do these things. Great. And then they just go try it. Now they have that tether to keep coming back to. So if there's a way to get that kind of inside line, going to LinkedIn maybe, or asking your brother, hey, do you have any mentors in the field that you might whisper to and they might be willing, to do some consulting work? I would love to just pick their brain, but then maximize that time. Don't come in and be like, so what should I do? Come in and figure out.
How do I be a celebrity chef?
Right, I'm telling you, you cook in front of any goddamn person.
Just get the hookup.
Film yourself and post it on the internet.
One of my golfing buddies is kind of going through a little bit of unemployment right now. And kind of working in the tech industry and got laid off. And, we were talking the other day, and being unemployed is a full-time gig.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's a full-time job.
Oh.
I remember, there's been 2 times in my life, well, one time really, because one time I had a job pretty much almost immediately, but there was another
remember that
time.
one. That was fun.
Yeah. One time where I was out of work, and it was a sudden, the place closed and I didn't have a job. Yeah. And it was a full-time job to I was not only was I, sending out applications or filling out applications, sending out resumes, I was contacting people, but not only that, but I was showing up where people were.
Right.
So I there's this big event happening at such and such. I know that these people are going to be there. I need to be there, and I'll mingle with them.
Yeah.
And it's constant. It becomes a full-time job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And tailoring your resume to each.
Yeah.
And it's not a whole lot of work, but it's a little extra work for everyone you send out. It's not just done. Attach.
Speaking of another thing that's getting more difficult, back in the day, individual humans were looking at those.
Oh, right.
And they're not now.
shit.
Now an
You're
algorithm
right.
is taking the
An
pass at it
algorithm is
first.
doing
You
it.
are
Yeah.
so right.
So it's like that's even more work that you have to do.
Yeah.
put the
for your-
keywords in.
Yep,
It's
exactly.
the
funny
algorithm.
because I saw this
Yeah.
thing the other day that was talking about how Indeed has an AI designed to kick out and filter out all these things. So now there is now another AI that you can pay money for.
The robots are
that
taking
will
over.
make your
Yeah.
resume fool the Indeed AI.
Right.
The AI versus
it-
AI.
This is how we get Terminators, guys. Like, this is how this happens.
Yep.
The
So
Indeed
creepy.
robots are going to fucking kill us all because they're going to follow some prime directive that was like filter out the insufficient humans. It's like
Yeah.
they're all
We've
insufficient.
targeted them.
None of them are good enough.
No.
I'm realizing something right now that this is something that I don't see the same as other people because of entertainment industry.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like
Because
totally
in the entertainment
different
industry,
perspective.
we're unemployed all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like a show shuts down, you get fired, you move on, they go a different direction, whatever it is. Like
You can expect it
it's
to end
something like
unexpectedly.
85% of everybody who works in the entertainment industry is unemployed at any given time.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh,
goodness.
I
It's
would
like-
never have thought about
Like Tom
that.
Hanks is unemployed right now.
Yeah.
Like if he's not making a movie right now, he's unemployed.
Greyhound. Have you guys seen
Oh, yeah.
it? Oh my
That
gosh.
was early on Apple Plus.
Apple Plus.
Yeah.
Greyhound.
Is this a show?
It's a movie.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get him some work. You
Yeah.
know, I know he's on hard times
That's
right,
right.
now, and I just want people to give
Give him
Greyhound
the
a
pod
shot.
therapy bump.
You know what? We're helping a lot of people today.
Yeah.
We're really giving a lot of these
Yeah,
people
I'm
their
realizing
start.
that just now. Like,
Yeah.
man, being unemployed has never bothered me. Oh, that's because
Yeah.
I've been unemployed a lot.
Like I know that feeling. It's familiar.
Yeah.
All the time.
Well, Alex, this is a tough one. I love your grit. I love your tenacity. I think you made a great life choice. I think now it's about finding your road in. And I think that everybody's right about this being a job in and of itself. You've treated it that way. Look, you've been swinging the bat now for a long time, but I really hope that you're doing everything as far as networking. It's not just about hitting the button because a lot of that stuff gets rejected. It's about showing up at events, at conferences, meeting people, asking questions. If there's a way to look into mentorship,
Do the hustle.
you got to get
Yeah.
out there. I think that's how a lot of just more opportunities happen. And I've seen that. Like when the tech industry contracted, I had several patients that were in tech, and then they would get laid off. And, they were really worried about it because they were hearing in the news how much, the industry was getting laid off. And they'd get on LinkedIn or whatever and just let people know they were available. And just through the word of mouth chain,
Yeah.
they're getting gigs. People are calling them, go, hey, man, I've
That's
known
it.
you for a long time. You're a cool guy.
Yeah.
We haven't announced it yet. There's a position opening up. Will you want me to put your name in that hat? Like, yes. Okay, great. And then it's just like, hey, Barbara in HR, hire my friend John. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yep,
it's done.
that is.
And just like, it's, what we call the good old boy network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Nepo babies.
I was just going to say, I was like, Paula Shore.
We're going to take a quick break.
By the way, if you want to hire a life coach for an oddly large amount of money,
There it is.
hit me up.
Yeah.
He is
If
unemployed.
you're just like,
so-
what? I just have so much money and I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of all this money. And I really just want advice with a jingle attached.
Also, if I start getting hired as a real life coach, it's going to make Jim very upset.
Oh, my
which is just a
God.
bonus.
Or
Can
as
you
a
imagine?
If I
celebrity
start getting
chef.
hired as an actual life coach or celebrity chef,
Oh,
it's going to make Jim furious.
stab me in the heart.
Yeah, then
Especially
we-
if I only get those gigs through this show.
And,
Yes.
and we have to reschedule recording because
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
Yeah.
busy.
Sorry,
We've got
guys.
Sessions scheduled.
Sorry, I got some life coaching to
I'm
do.
doing this whole like chef party, I'm teaching people
Chef
a lot
party
about
slash life
I'm just teaching them
coaching.
barbecue.
party.
Like, celebrity chef, life coach. Oh, just give them
it'll
all
just
the
make Jim
honorifics.
so mad.
Oh, that's just it proves my point. Whatever. You've already defied the proving of points. Like the damn life coach joke from season 1 has backfired, and you've given legitimacy to it. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about seeing vulnerability as weakness. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider, Judy Schneider, Leon Kassab, Carolyn Albert, Sammy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Mike Helm, Darren Cunningham, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, and Mrs. Hot Dog Scoop. If you would like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. And our theme this week in honor of our therapy producers is categories.
Huh.
Again.
Categories.
Oh, categories was cool.
So
I'm so bad at that.
I'm going to list stuff off and you got to buzz in.
Oh,
We know the
yeah,
category.
I'm so bad at this
Yeah,
one.
I feel like we both did really bad. I think Jacob just sweeped us
Yeah.
last time.
Oh, is that this one? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jacob's like, I will pay attention.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, am I good at this? Great.
I have a bonus question when we were done with Nick's questions.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've only got 7. So 2 each, and then we're going to do a bonus at the
All
end.
right, hit us.
I don't know, wait. That would be 3.
Don't
and then
try
a
to
bonus at
math
the
on
end.
this show.
That would be 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're
Yes.
going to do 3 each,
Three.
each break.
Yes.
Wow.
Sedimentary.
Buzz rocks.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say that, but I was like, I'm gonna wait for
I know,
the
I was
second
doing the
one.
same thing.
Yeah,
Dun,
all
dun.
right.
Dun.
He's usually
He's risking
wrong when
it.
he does
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was like,
Okay. All
it's
right.
gonna be a trick. It wasn't a
Jim
trick.
with the early lead.
Big flex.
Okay, here we go. Rachel.
Buzz.
Buzz.
I got you. Friends characters.
No.
Oh,
Shit.
shit. No, I
Is that
said
where you were
Buzz.
going to?
Yes.
I believe Whitney also buzzed. Nick.
No.
I believe Whitney owes an answer.
Okay. I'm gonna go for it.
No. He
Oh.
got, he
Did
got
I
the
use
buzz.
the buzz?
He used
You
it.
used the buzz.
All right,
You
that's
got
fine.
it. Okay, so we're going to reset.
Oh, Whitney's buzz doesn't count?
No.
No.
Whitney just
we're
gets a
gonna
free
reset.
buzz because
It's
she's,
a round.
because she's
He-
slow?
Because she didn't get it. She
Okay.
didn't get it,
Jim
so
can't
that's fine.
buzz on this one.
Okay.
Sounds like a
So we already
Nepo
got
I think
Rachel.
Whitney
trivia.
can't buzz at this show.
Wells.
Shit.
Mercury.
Yep. God damn it. Okay, when they fuck up, can I answer it?
Elko.
God
I mean,
damn it.
Buzz, but I don't.
Okay.
I mean, cities in Nevada.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was like, I know Elko is, but
Damn it.
That's the only one I knew is the
I
city
know.
of
I'm
Nevada.
like, I'm going for it. I don't know. There's a lot of cities I don't know.
Okay,
Nevada,
here we
so.
go. Ready. Last one for this break. Case IH. Alice Chalmers. Oliver. New Holland. John Deere.
Buzz?
Let him have it.
Tractors?
Yes.
Okay, look at all of us.
right.
We all know one of these things. We all know one.
New Holland sounds familiar.
Showdown.
Yes.
All right.
A lot of the older ones, Alice Chalmers was that was like the original tractor,
Okay.
and so
Oh.
they don't make those anymore. I don't think they make Oliver
Not like
either.
they used to.
I like
let me
how everyone
tell you.
heard John Deere. You know it's a tractor.
Yeah.
We're like, Buzz.
That's why I put that one last.
Nice.
It could just be lawnmowers, too.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
All right, I've got a bonus question, and this is for all 3 of you as a collective. So you're going to give me one answer back that the 3 of you
As a
agree
team.
on.
Ooh,
Okay.
Okay.
Family
Group.
feud style.
You're
Group
right or
work.
you're wrong.
All
And this
right.
ties into Patreon for today.
Okay.
So several years
This is a
ago,
Bill
Buzz,
Cosby
final
thing.
answer.
the Rolling Stone magazine put out a list of their top 100 comedians of all time. Name the top 3.
How long ago?
Guys,
Like 7 years, I think.
can we name 4?
No, you have to agree on 3.
Oh, come on. We got to nail all 3?
You have to get all
we
3.
can't have one.
You don't have to
buffer.
give me the order, but you have to give me the 3,
Okay.
the top 3.
I think Jerry
Jerry Seinfeld.
I
Yeah,
was
it
gonna
has to
say
be
up
one.
Eddie Murphy.
I want it to be Eddie Murphy, but I don't think it will be. If it's comedians, well, is it stand up? Can we ask that? Is it
Stand-up comedians, yeah.
Then it's not going to be Eddie. Eddie had a great
Why?
one. He only did
What?
Raw. He only did Raw, man. Then he became an actor, and he was crushing it like
No,
Beverly Hills Cop.
Eddie
and
did
shit.
a
did
lot
several.
of he did
Ellen
a lot
DeGeneres.
of big stand-up
Okay,
specials.
now you definitely know it's not Eddie because he's fucking giving us help.
No, I'm just correcting your just factually inaccurate statement.
Let's
Eddie
put
did
Eddie.
a lot
Eddie's
of
on the
major
table.
stand-up
Eddie's on the table.
specials.
Jerry Seinfeld, we feel good
Yeah.
about. Roseanne Barr is obvious.
No, I don't think that's quite as
Okay,
obvious.
John Lithgow's obvious.
John Lithgow. I love him.
I do like John
I
Lithgow.
I like John
I
Lithgow.
Yeah.
Joke's on you. That's an excellent comedian.
Yeah. I don't think of him as a stand-up so much, but he's
I mean,
definitely a
best
great
of all
performer.
time. Oh,
I mean-
Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh.
I'll bet you Jeff Foxworthy's up there.
Think
That's
so?
I think he's up.
I was gonna go
with
with what
sheer
y'all said
salesman,
earlier.
That you might be a redneck thing. He was
This
crushing
isn't
it.
this has nothing to do with sales. This is just Rolling
This is-
Stone saying
this
these
is
are the
their
top
best.
I
100.
don't know if Rolling Stone's going to pick Jeff Foxworthy, but it's pretty hard to not argue that he is. I mean, it's
Y'all
not
said-
everybody's genre, but he was formative, man.
He was very successful.
Y'all said Rodney Dangerfield.
I'm just
Do you
going
think
to tell
he's
you
up
that
there?
Jeff Foxworthy is
Rodney
not on the
He
list.
was very
Really, Jeff didn't land
popular.
anywhere in the 100.
Foxworthy, I don't think is in the top 100 on this list.
Wow.
I'll bet Joan Rivers. What about
Oh,
Joan Rivers?
Joan Rivers. Top 3.
I'll bet you
Top
yes,
3
just
would
because
be
it
tough.
validates Jacob's perspective.
Maybe top 10, but
Yeah.
top 3 would be because she's a woman.
Yeah,
so-
I knew you were
there
going
it
to
is.
say
There
that,
it
and I was
is.
thinking the same.
Man, I don't know.
Oh, I don't have top
I know
100 here. I have
people.
top
I know
50.
people.
You have top
I
50.
have the top 50. Jeff
Oh.
Foxworthy not on the top 50.
Wow.
Wow, that's I disagree with that.
Okay, so I think we can. Start
I agree with
listening.
that completely.
Okay, Bill Cosby's probably on there.
I
When did the
think
list
he
get
probably
published?
is.
Oh, he
7
said
years
7
ago.
years ago. Ooh.
Was that pre?
Well, would it matter?
Yes.
I mean,
If
no,
it-
but
if-
if they're
Yeah.
strictly just looking at how
Richard
talented
Pryor.
somebody. Oh, Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor.
Okay, Richard
Jerry
Pryor.
Seinfeld.
Dick Van Dyke.
That's
I don't know if he did.
Carol
stand-up.
Burnett.
I love your
Carol
enthusiasm.
Burnett did stand
I
up,
love
right?
that.
I don't know. I'm
Let me
going
just
for
say you're
like classic.
adorable.
I'm like
okay?
classic.
Those are just cute.
I guess they're not
Okay.
stand up.
Richard Pryor. Definitely.
I feel like Pryor's on there. I feel like Seinfeld's going to land.
Seinfeld's the only one
And
I
then you're
I
gonna
would
have,
agree with those two.
I think you got a shot at Eddie Murphy. 7 years ago, you might have a shot at Dave Chappelle as best of all time. I don't know. A lot of people think he is. A lot of people argue that he's in that weight
Chappelle
class.
is-
Richard Pryor's got it though. He's going to be top 3. And I think Seinfeld for the notoriety.
There's,
But
Yeah.
if
there's
fucking
several
Fox
names
News
y'all
on
haven't
there,
said at
What's
all in the
does-
top 10 that really surprised me.
There's
That
how
haven't been
many?
said. No, I'm
Is
just looking
Jay-
at like the top 10.
Joe
Does,
Coy,
like-
that's clearly top 3.
Do any of those late night people do stand up or no?
Like
Like
Letterman?
Jay
Oh,
Leno.
no, Jay
Leno.
Robin
Is that-
Williams.
Robin Williams. Holy
that was
shit.
one I was surprised I
he's
hadn't heard you
one.
say him yet.
He's got to be one.
Robin Williams, Jay Leno. You got who did I say? Richard Pryor,
Richard Pryor.
Eddie Murphy, Jerry Seinfeld. Those are our 3 guesses.
Okay, so I'm going to say you listed 4, so we have to eliminate one.
Actually, I said 5.
I said actually.
Throw them all in there.
Okay,
Let's
I
see what
would
let Whitney
say
pick.
I would say Robin. No, she's a
Robin
woman.
Williams. Yeah, we already established.
Robin
We
Williams.
had such a good show.
I think Robin
It
Williams.
lasted so
and
long. It was really
Seinfeld,
good.
And
Also,
that Richard
I
Pryor
really thought
guy
it would be
that
me who would
I've
destroy
heard
the
of,
show.
but I
I
don't
didn't
know.
think it would be you.
Robin Williams, Richard
Yes.
Pryor,
Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
All right, final
all right.
answer.
Robin Williams,
We
Richard
won
Pryor,
Eddie
Jerry
Murphy
Seinfeld.
3 times.
That's those your guesses.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy is on the top 50 list.
Okay.
But he is not top 3. Where did he just go? I just
But
saw him a
she's
minute
like
ago.
15.
25.
Yeah, pretty
25 on the
Wow.
list. By the way, I don't agree with. There are several people who aren't on this list at all that kind of invalidate
Chris
this list to
Rock.
me completely.
Oh,
Chris
Chris
Rock is
Rock.
in the top
He's not
10
gonna
on
be-
here. He's not
not
top
gonna be
3,
top
but
3.
he's top
Chris
10 on this
Rock.
list. I was
So
surprised I didn't hear his
good.
name.
Yeah.
Gilbert Gottfried not on the list.
Okay.
Kind of makes this list a little shitty for me. Let's see. So number 5, Chris Rock.
Okay.
Oh, Chris
Okay.
Rock.
Number 4, another name that wasn't said at all, Louis C.K.
Oh,
Yeah.
7 years ago, he hadn't got caught
Oh,
in
yeah,
that
he had.
masturbation
Yeah,
thing.
he
But he
had.
still got 4.
Yeah, he's still
Yeah.
got 4. Bill Cosby, by the way, is on the list, but he's further down on the list.
Okay.
Number 3, nobody mentioned his name at all.
Oh, don't say him.
Lenny Bruce.
Oh,
I don't know who
shame
that is.
on us.
Shit.
Kind of made
Shame
stand-up
on
comedy
us.
what it is
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like changed it from somebody getting up in a tuxedo and telling like, horse walked into a bar. Bartender said, "Hey, buddy, why the long face?" Like set up punchline, set up punchline. Lenny Bruce kind of originated
The
the
story
I'm going to tell
or-
you a story,
Narrative.
and there's
Yes.
going to be funny stuff in there.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 2, nobody said his name.
Shit.
George Carlin.
I don't know who that is either.
Oh, come on, Whitney.
It sounds
Damn
familiar.
it.
It sounds more familiar than the
Oh.
other one.
7. George Carlin is so in the zeitgeist, people don't know that he's in the zeitgeist.
He's the cigar old man.
no, that's
you're
George
thinking
Burns.
George Burns.
Shit.
George Burns also excellent. George Carlin did the
Oh,
7
George Carlin.
words that you
Oh,
can't
that-
say
yes.
on
You can't
television.
say on
Yes.
television.
Okay.
People think that that is a rule, that is some rule. It was never a rule. George Carlin did that as a bit, and then the television industry followed and made it where you couldn't say those words on TV.
That's funny.
Like the
I
reason you
just-
can't say piss on TV, or you couldn't for a long time, was because George Carlin had that as one of his 7 words you can't say on TV. But he put it in there because it went with the patter of it.
That's so funny.
Number 1, you got Richard Pryor.
So we
Oh,
win. I think we
wow.
win.
You got
Well
1 out of
done.
3.
We'll take it.
Where's Robin Williams?
Robin Williams is number 12.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep.
All right.
The ones you didn't get.
I'm disappointed I didn't get Chris Rock.
Let's see. I'll start at 15. Rattle them off. Stephen Wright, Andy Kaufman, Bill Hicks, Robin Williams, Steve Martin. Nobody
Oh,
said
Steve
Steve Martin.
Martin.
Mort Saul. He's a very old comedian, but very a big name in his day. Dave Chappelle, Bill Cosby's on there. Jerry Seinfeld, Joan Rivers, Chris Rock, Louis C.K., Lenny Bruce, Carlin, and Pryor.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Fun list.
There
We
you go.
did better than we deserve.
Yeah.
But still not good enough. So,
I mean, you got 1 out of 3, which is about what I would have guessed you would have gotten.
yeah, thank you.
Although
I'll
for a
take that.
while, it didn't sound like you were going to get to Pryor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good call. I think
thank
Jim
you.
did that.
Every once in a while, you forget them, and then you go, "Oh Jesus, what am I doing?"
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's clearly
Richard
the
Pryor,
answer.
who might have been the first one to suffer from the Mandela effect. When everybody thought Mandela was dead, everybody thought Richard Pryor was dead for a long time. And then he put out a new stand-up. Like, it wasn't like people didn't actually think he was dead, but a lot of just the common people
Right.
were like, oh, Richard Pryor, I think he died.
Oh yeah,
But he just never had.
Yeah.
And so he put out a new stand-up special after he had severely burned himself while freebasing cocaine. And he put out a stand-up special where he said, all right, I'm going to do an impression now. What's this? And he pulled out a book of matches and just lit a match and held it and then kind of bounced it across the screen, kind of like a bouncing ball going across the screen. He said, it's Richard Pryor walking down the street.
Yikes.
Way to hang a lantern on
Yeah,
it, Rich.
That's right. He ended apartheid, didn't he?
I think
He
he
did.
did. Yeah,
Yes.
he was also the guy that was in jail.
Sadly, he also started apartheid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't get a lot of credit for the first part, but if you
I-
clean up your own mess,
That's it.
I knew where I'd seen George Carlin recently. Like a few days ago, there was a article that came out from the New York Times, and it says George Carlin's estate sues podcasters over AI episode, where they used AI
Yes.
to
To recreate
redo,
him?
recreate like
They
wow.
created an AI
without
George Carlin.
permission or whatever. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
wow.
here we go, the robots.
Man, I'm upset that I didn't
Also, a
get
big
Carlin.
reason that the Kevin Smith movie Dogma kind of got canceled. You can't find Dogma on any of the streaming platforms.
Carlin's in it.
And you can't get it on Amazon or anything like that
Dogma, you can't.
because the Catholic Church leaned heavily enough on the I'm missing details in this,
Yeah.
I know, but the Catholic Church leaned very heavily on the on the production house to pull it. Carlin was a cardinal in that movie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fairness, they went for it at every turn in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like
That was such a good
everything.
movie.
They
Yeah.
had them all.
Alanis
in there.
Morissette is God.
Yes,
Yeah,
God. She's
yeah.
playing skee ball.
Yeah,
Like
Yep.
that was such a good movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very
And
good.
I think Chris Rock was an angel.
He may have been.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
you're
shows up
right.
as an angel.
Yeah.
Affleck and
Or he's like a
and what's his
disciple.
name?
He
He might
it's,
be.
it's like Matthew or something. And they're
Yeah.
like, I thought you were white. He's like, Jesus was black.
that's right. That's right.
Like he's like lecturing them on Jesus being
And
black.
it's,
dare you.
it's- what's his name? Goodwill Hunting.
Oh, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon
Yeah.
and
Ben
Ben
Affleck.
Affleck
They're both in it, too.
are angels.
Yeah, they're the
That's
ones
right.
trying to get
God,
through
now I
the.
want to watch that movie.
Yeah,
again.
that's worth a rewatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
Unfortunately,
it's a whole
there's
90s
nowhere
cast.
to watch it.
Wow.
Do y'all know there's a movie that was just re-triggered by a meme the other day, and it had been buried in my subconscious, but when it popped up the other day, I saw this little meme of a kid in a devil suit, and I was like, what is that from? And it was a movie called
Problem Child.
Oh,
Yes!
Problem
And I was like,
Child.
Gilbert
I know
Gottfried.
It. You
Gilbert
mentioned Gilbert
Gottfried.
Gottfried
Uh-huh.
earlier, and I was like, that's immediately what I thought of because I saw that little gif, and I was like,
oh, what's his name from Three's Company?
John Ritter.
John Ritter.
Yeah.
John Ritter is the dad.
R.I.P.
Yes. Wow.
But yeah, I went and watched the trailer for it, and it
Why
was
does
like,
John Ritter get an RIP but not Gilbert?
Yeah.
Huh?
Wow.
oh, I didn't know Gilbert died. I forgot.
Just pure sexism on your part.
Wow.
Yes. But yeah, I like rewatched the little trailer. I was like, oh my gosh, it re-triggered so many memories. I'm like, this movie is insane. Like,
Over COVID, I went back and watched a lot of movies, a lot of older comedy movies.
yeah.
And especially ones that I had watched a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was watching them and going like, oh shit, that's my timing. Like I was watching my comedic timing on
Oh, that's
film.
funny.
And I was like, oh, this is where it all comes from. This is every bit of
really
it.
funny. The genesis of
Yeah,
great
Problem
life coach
Child.
comedy. Anyway, we'll get back to questions now.
Yeah.
Seeing vulnerability as a weakness from Anonymous. Dear Pod Therapy, I'm in my early 20s. My mom and I are very close. Although we don't live together, we talk on the phone almost daily. I've noticed that for years, when I tell her the challenges I'm facing and that I feel down, her responses are generally, no pain, no gain, life is suffering, or the only person you can rely on is yourself.
Is your mom Catholic?
Sounds like it. These statements have merit, but they're not helpful in the moment. I know she loves me deeply and wants me to grow up competent and independent. The thing is, I start to notice my tendency to only talk about things that were bothering me after they had passed, so my mom or my friends won't feel the need to comfort me, and we could focus on what I learned from those experiences. When my friends share their distress with me, while I do feel for them, I can't help but judge them for showing their weaknesses. But at the same time, envying them for being able to freely complain about their lives, while I have to deal with it alone. I'd talked to my mom about not liking those comments, but I think old habits die hard. There are friends in my life who genuinely want to listen and have urged me to be more open with them. So, here are my questions. Number 1, how can I communicate with my mom about this in a better way? At this point, I don't think I can change her. Number 2, how to stop seeing vulnerability as a weakness and be more open to people without feeling like a burden. Love your podcast and thanks in advance for all the awesome advice I'm about to get. Anonymous, pronouns are she and her.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today.
Take care.
Whitney, list those names off.
Bob Newhart.
I know.
Was Bob Newhart on the list?
He is.
Oh, that's solid.
yeah.
Yeah, I like Bob
Good
Newhart.
one.
Yeah, let's go back to the list.
Let's just
21.
Yeah. Avoid.
this therapy
Avoid.
thing's overrated. This is the last show anyway. I think you've seen to that.
I know that's tough when you say I'm close with somebody. I mean, what are y'all's thoughts on this? You're like, I'm close with this person, but you can't really be vulnerable with them. I mean,
Yeah.
how close are you really?
Well, it's tough whenever the advice is always rub some dirt on it. You know, like, well, life's tough like that. You got to
Chin
get
up.
through it. Yeah, you can do it. And it's like, thanks. But I think a lot of times, even if that's going to be the conclusion, is basically telling somebody to continue and not give up, really starting from a place of empathy and like affirming them and validating them, it means a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot of couples therapy is just teaching people to start from a position of, hey, I think I'm hearing you say this. I get where you're coming from. I relate to you.
Oh, I get that. That is tough.
Yeah, but the truth is this other thing, or you're going to make
Yeah.
it anyway. So, yeah. You're not
I
doing
think
that.
there
That's
has
hard.
to be balance in this. And what I mean by that is there
Otherwise
has
you'll
to
fall
be
over.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. There
You
has
will
to
hurt
be
yourself.
the
balance.
personal trainer
It's
said
like a
that.
unicycle.
Yeah.
Yes. But like sometimes individuals will want to express what's going on, not because they want advice on how to fix it, but because they need to verbalize it to feel like some sort of normalcy. Like, I'm okay for feeling this way, right?
Right. Yeah,
type
I
thing.
hear you.
You know, so there's some validation to that. However, you can't just do that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can get to a point where the listener is like, I can't stand talking to Sally because all she ever talks about is what's going wrong with her life.
Right, yeah.
And then at some point you kind of get frustrated, like, all right, well, do something about it or shut up about it because I'm tired of hearing about it.
Right.
You know, and so I think there's balance on both sides of that where, and you know, maybe you kind of need to communicate that with your mom and just like, hey, I want to explain something to you, but I'm not looking for advice. I kind of want to just vent.
There it is. I like that.
Or then, you know, are there other times where you're wanting to say, okay, I have a situation here. Now I'm open to advice. You know, and kind of giving the listener some sort of idea what it is that they're expecting out of this. And I kind of do this with Laura. You know, because there's a lot of times where sometimes she's frustrated with work, you know, and I realize like, okay, I've kind of learned to pick up on some of the signs that, okay, she doesn't want advice right now.
Right.
What she wants is she wants me to say, yeah, that sounds frustrating.
That sucks.
Yeah. If I were in that situation, I would feel that way too.
Your boss should wear pants.
Yeah. You know, and so
Your boss burning that book was out of line.
yeah. So there are times like that
Laura.
where
Tell
you
me
kinda-
more about your struggle.
where you want to do that.
That was clever, Jim.
But
I
then-
like that.
Thank you.
On the other end, if that's all that you're hearing constantly is just complaints, that's stressful, you
Right.
know, and it's stressful for the listener too, because then it's kind of this vicarious stress that you end up going through. You know, it's like this individual is stressed out. They're unloading it on me. Now I'm feeling stressed out.
Right.
What do I do with it? And so you kind of want to get to a point like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Yeah, that was tough. What are you going to do about it?
Right.
What's your next move? So,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't-
It makes a lot of sense hearing the writers say that when my friends share their distress with me, while I do feel for them, I can't help but judge them for showing their weakness. The way you described your mom's reaction to you, I mean, obviously, you're like, the mom's saying, toughen up, you got this, life's hard. And it's like, okay,
Right.
don't be vulnerable. She must be implying that's weak. Because we do pick up on and create our own narratives based on other people's actions, whether the mom's saying that or not. That's
Right.
what you're
That's
hearing.
the
It sounds.
implication.
And so to then be around your friends, absolutely, that's like what's modeled to you. If you talk to your mom every day, I mean, that's a lot, or almost every day, that's a lot of exposure to that mindset. And so then when you're with your friends, it makes sense that you would naturally go to that thought process of like judging for them being weak, for being vulnerable. But then I hear you say, but I'm a little jealous they can just share openly. And so deep down, you're like, I do want to do that too. But what I've been taught And what I've been modeled is to not, that is a weakness.
Yeah.
And so trying your best to, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go with that, but I mean, you could try and change your mindset a little bit, like what Nick was kind of just saying, you know, naturally for him is not to sit and be like, oh, that really sucks. You're just like, yeah, just do this, you know, like ignore those people at work or whatever.
He's a fixer.
Yeah, and actually what I've ended up doing is not necessarily trying to say like, oh, here's what you should do. What I usually go to is, oh, that's stressful. What are you going to do about that? Like, how are you going to handle that?
You're still dialoguing.
Yeah, so I'm not going to give you the answer necessarily.
Sure.
But I do want to start to steer the direction towards, let's take action. Let's do something. Because I think sometimes it's really easy for people to just kind of get into that rut of, God, this sucks. This is unfair, isn't it?
Right.
Like, okay, yes, it is unfair. I agree with you. Now what? Because we still have to do something about it.
Right.
You know, like me agreeing with you that it's unfair is not actually going to work towards a solution.
Do you have to have a solution?
Yeah. Well, no, you don't. Well, yes, I would say yes, you do.
Okay.
But the solution isn't necessarily solving the problem.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes the solution is learning to coexist with the problem. So like I may not, my boss is a complete asshole. I can't fix that problem. What can I do to make it livable?
So if she says venting to my boyfriend is how I make it livable, is that okay?
Okay, I see you're taking Laura's side here. All right, fine. Let's just do this.
I'm like, go on.
No, but like I think, okay, so like in those situations where it's like there is something that's really it's really shitty. I think
it depends, really.
Part of this
like
has to do with timing.
Okay.
As well.
Okay.
Like, okay, so this is an event that just happened. It really sucks. Okay, we're not in solution mode right now.
Yeah.
Right now
we're in like reactive mode.
Right
venting.
now, yes, we're venting, we're coping with emotions, we're just saying, this is how I feel about this situation. That what the person I think is really wanting is they want reassurance from somebody that it's okay for me to feel this way, right?
Yeah, you would react this way too, wouldn't you?
Yes. And at that point, that's all you do.
Yeah.
Is you just say, yeah.
Your reaction
sucks.
is a reasonable reaction.
Yes. And I'm just validating their response to that situation. Okay. After a few weeks of that happening,
You're like, I can't take this anymore.
At some point, we have to go to, okay, yes, we've already agreed that life is unfair.
Okay.
Laura, they don't
Now what we
even
need
pay
to do.
you. Just give them the armband back. No. It's fine.
I was wondering how that was going to tie in. I'm like, what? There it is. There it is.
They'll always find that.
At
so
some
great.
point, we've got to get to that of like, all right, yep, you're right. What do we do about it? Right? What's the next step? What are we going to do to, even if it's not solve the problem, what is our best way to find a way that we can continue to operate? Or maybe even,
like, are you wanting to still operate in that?
yeah, or
space?
maybe it's even like just separating, like, and just creating the separation between like, okay, this is how this organization's going to function. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm just going to change my expectations of this organization.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and communication for everyone, there is a rhythm to all of our communication. Nick, Jim, Whitney, myself, we all communicate in different kind of rhythms. We all have kind of established rhythms that we go through in our regular days. That's Jim's rhythm. It's exactly what you would expect it to be. But I mean, my thought on it is, you do have to, if you want to change how you communicate with someone, if you really want to change that, my experience is you kind of have to fake it till you make it, at least at the beginning. It kind of has to be like, how do I want to do this? What kind of communicator do I want to be? Okay, this is the type of communicator that I want to be, and then it turns into like, well, how would that person communicate? Well, I'm gonna copy that for a little while, and you kind of change that pattern, that rhythm in yourself. And once you've changed that, it's the same thing like developing, different tastes in food. You work at it for a little while, you get used to new flavors, your body gets accustomed to new flavors, your microbiome adjusts, all that shit that happens, and you establish that new pattern. You can do the same thing in communication, but I mean, you have to want to do it first.
No, I like that because what you'll see is your relationships dynamics will change. Like when
Yeah.
you started doing that with Laura in the beginning, like just listening instead of maybe like, whoa, what are you going to do about it? And this and that. She's like, I don't know. You know, maybe it exacerbates things in the beginning. Like definitely Peter and I have been in like a similar realm at some point when there's challenging.
With Laura.
Yeah.
With Laura. Yeah.
Laura was there,
calls.
oddly. She calls in to vent to Peter. I don't know.
All of this is how do we deal with Laura?
Yeah. That's really what this question was about.
Oh, and by the way, for anybody who's new listening, I make jokes about Laura being a Nazi. She hates when I make those jokes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's a season
That's all
2
I have
bit,
to say
too.
about that.
It's
That's
last.
true. We got to keep people updated. All
It's
right.
we actually retired the joke for a while, but it found its way
Not
back.
officially.
It did. Here it is. There it is. But yeah, I think the fake it till you make it. What you'll see is it feels uncomfortable. Maybe in your head you're still like, oh my god, they're just complaining about stuff like weak, blah, blah.
Right.
But you force yourself to just say, oh, that's tough, even if you're eye rolling in the back of your head or in your mind. But what you'll see over time is their reaction to you is actually really nice. Like they're like, yeah, thanks, and you're like, oh, they liked that. I don't know. I feel like kind of what Jacob was saying.
Yeah,
You're
you'll
bouncing
see
off
a
each
change.
other, and you'll see that
You will.
shift.
I mean, you will see results in that. If you start actively changing the way you communicate with people, you will see. Not necessarily positive results, but you will see you will see changes in how people communicate
dynamic.
back with you.
What I've actually implemented, what I've tried to do myself, is I've just kind of, and maybe this is because I'm very pessimistic and I don't have a whole lot of hope for society and I think people are stupid. But
You have been
What
hanging out
I've-
with Laura a lot.
yeah,
See, they just wrote their own jokes there. I didn't say anything.
what I've started to do is I've started to ask myself, what is it exactly that I'm hoping to get? And then I ask the person specifically to provide that for me.
Right.
So like if it's something like something bothered me at work and I'm like, and I realize like I would need to communicate this to somebody. And it's like, if it's just, I need to get this off my chest and I need to vent, I will actually say, hey, I just need to vent. Or if it's like, I need some sort of validation, I will specifically state like, hey, am I all right for feeling this way?
Right.
Yeah.
Or if I need advice, I will specifically say, hey, I need advice on this.
Yeah.
And so I make it almost kind of like idiot proof.
Right.
Where like I don't leave them trying to guess what it is I'm wanting them to do.
Or if
I
you don't
tell
want
them
advice, you're
exactly.
like, I'm not looking for advice here.
Yeah,
I just want to tell you about this.
Yeah. And so I kind of give them that opportunity. I kind of put up those bumper rails so like they
Right.
can't steer off track even
You can't
if they
throw a
wanted
gutter
to.
ball in this one.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
going to land on it.
Yeah.
The second question that the writer had asked about is this issue of vulnerability. How can I get to a place where I don't see being vulnerable as being weak because I'm interpreting that in my friends, but I also admire them for being able to seek that feedback, and I want to be the kind of person who can be vulnerable.
What you need to do is you need to create a notebook and start writing this stuff down. So in case you need to take down this person, you know exactly
That's
what their
it is.
weaknesses and
That's what you
vulnerabilities
wanna
are.
do.
Yeah.
I think this is a really profound question because especially I think doing therapy, now in this case, the writer's pronouns are she, her. But for a lot of male clients over the years, this is one of the first barriers that we have to break through is that they have been culturally conditioned to what?
Yeah. Like exactly.
What?
Like I mean I can totally relate
Oh,
to
you
that.
relate to it.
I was just
Okay.
saying, I was like,
I was
Nick's
like,
like-
oh shit, what did I say? Like,
No, but like you know, I'm complaining about like my struggles with golf, and, you know,
Right.
like to my golfing buddies, you know, like they have any sense of compassion at all.
Right, yeah.
They're like, dude, fucking man up, dude.
Yeah.
Like just
I feel so. I'm
Yeah,
bad at
it's like-
golf. No, you really are though. You
yeah,
should quit.
you-
yeah.
yeah. Why are you still out here?
Yeah. Go home. Go drive the car,
Yeah,
bitch.
Yeah, it's not a place you want to go for empathy.
Yeah.
You're not you're not great at a meaningless game, and you're complaining to me about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
This is a barrier. It's a barrier that a lot of people have to get over. And one of the things that I always try to kind of turn on its head when we're talking about vulnerability and that actually being incredible strength
Yeah.
is to ask are you scared of it? And if you are, it's like, no shit you are, because it's not weakness, it's terrifying. And like you've probably heard of Brene Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Power of Vulnerability.
Yeah.
I want to read a short passage that I like because it's playful and it kind of turns this idea on its head. It's titled The Power of Nudity. Now here we go. There
Ooh,
it is.
nudity.
I don't read a lot, but I'm going to read this one. The power of nudity. People tend to cover up, They layer themselves in personalities and behaviors so we don't see their insecurities. Sometimes they try to seem intimidating, powerful, confident, funny, disengaged, carefree, or distracted. But all of that is just shiny armor to protect their soft skin. In reality, they are hyper aware of their weaknesses and are terrified other people will find out. They pretend to be strong, but they actually aren't. In contrast, naked people are intimidating. Sure, there's that maybe they're
That's how I
crazy
feel.
aspect of things, but also it's strange that they seem so unaffected by the opinions of others. It's not that they don't care, they probably do. It's that they are beyond caring. They are so comfortable with themselves that it makes others uncomfortable.
Preach.
I've spent years trying to use humor or confidence to mask my own insecurities. I've bragged or put others down in the hope that somehow I might protect myself from being discovered as a fragile and brittle human being. But what I've found is that when I've allowed myself to be vulnerable, discarded the cover-up, and basked in the luminescent milky whiteness of my flabby, untanned personality, people don't attack.
That visual.
They see my lack of armor,
really
and
draws the
instead of
picture, doesn't
pouncing
he?
on me like a predator, they tend to be stunned and almost intimidated. I know there are things you don't like about yourself, things other people have made you feel self-conscious about or used to wound you. But ironically, if you want to be powerful and fearless, you may have to be vulnerable and transparent. To get power, get naked. Metaphorically, there are still laws against indecent exposure, and I prefer you wear clothes. But that turns it on its head.
my
It
only-
really
my-
makes that point.
My only notes is I wish
I
I
love
would have
that
read it
music.
slower.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it was way too fast for the
Well, the
music.
music was
Yeah.
killing me, so I had to just
He's like, I must get through
blaze
this
through
very
that thing
quick.
as fast as I could.
Listen to that last part on 0.75 speed.
Anyway, I think that being vulnerable is being powerful because
Yeah.
if you look around you, you find a lot of people that seem tough, but their lack of vulnerability actually reveals their insecurities. And it's
of
the people
course.
that can actually get out there and reveal themselves that are beyond caring what you think, and their comfort with themselves makes you uncomfortable. So that's the profundity of vulnerability to me.
Yeah, if you compare it to what you were saying before, if it makes you scared, like we look at other people and say, oh, they went skydiving or like swam with sharks or whatever. It's like we see that as brave or wow, look how strong they are. And they're still doing something despite having that fear in them. They're like overcoming
Right.
that fear. So it sounds like what
That's
Brene Brown's trying
vulnerability.
to say is like
Yeah.
vulnerability is scary as shit. And
Actually,
you're like,
Brene Brown didn't write that. I was just referencing there is another book
you
called
describe.
The Power.
Oh, you described her
Yeah,
as
that book
flabby
was
and
called
creamy.
Love Dad by
Oh,
Dr.
okay.
Jim Jobin.
Oh, okay.
Director Jim Jobin?
No, Dr. Jim Jobin.
Wait, it was called what?
Love Dad.
Dad Vice?
Actually,
The
Dad
book?
Vice, that one. Yeah, thank you. I forgot the name of my own book.
Happening right
Dad
now.
Vice,
Right.
50 fatherly life lessons. Go to
God, you suck at
dadvicebook.com.
Wait,
this.
you
I
wrote
sure
that?
hope that advice helped you out somehow, writer. Yeah.
I forget
we
that I
lost the
named my
plot a
book.
little bit on that, but yeah.
It was a solid bit. We're
on
going to
keeping
take
on.
a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how to therapy. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Yeah.
All right. So today's episode is brought to you by Jake Schneider,
From
Judy
his own
Schneider,
fucking book.
Leon Kassab,
Forgot I changed the title.
Carolyn Albert, Sadie Scoop, Sarah Smith, Mike Helm, Darren Cunningham, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, and Mrs. Hot Dog Scoop. And if you would like to sponsor the show, head on over to patreon.com/therapy and sign up to be a therapy producer. All right.
Oh, that's right. We got this little category.
Categories continues.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Got to buzz in. North,
Southeast West.
black.
Oh, see, he was fucking with you right there. Buzz,
Dead?
buzz, C's.
Yes.
Oh, good one.
Very, very good.
I got it with black.
Until he said black, I was like, Kanye West's kids?
I thought about that as I was reading it off. I was like, that would have been a good
Northwest.
one. Does he have more than one? I don't know. I'm sure he does. All right, here we go. Twist, Long John.
Buzz, donuts.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Fools get dunked on, literally.
Damn, Jim's running away with
They
this.
sell them
Yeah.
at my gym, dog. I know
Okay.
them
Sell
all.
donuts
Yeah.
at your gym?
Planet Fitness
they
has all
do.
the
Oh.
donuts.
Yeah.
There's a whole box of them up front.
They sure
Free to
do.
members.
Do they really?
I can hook you
Yes.
up. If
All right,
you
bring one in
need you a
next time.
twist,
Bring
I'll
one
get you
in.
in there.
Yeah.
Do some cardio.
Is it on Mondays?
Just a little carbo load. It's
All
every
right.
day, Whitney.
Here we go. Indiana Jones,
Mm.
Pirates of the Caribbean, It's a Small World,
Buzz.
Yes.
Disneyland rides.
Correct.
Oh, Disneyland. That's right. That's Jacob's
I
jam.
forgot about that.
Very good.
I was like, movies. That can't
I've got
be it.
one more. We'll save that for the end.
All right.
All right. So I have 3. Jacob has 2. Whitney's
I got
coming
1.
in with 1. You're on the board. That's
I'm on
pretty
there.
cool. How to Therapy by Faulty. Hey guys, and Whitney.
Yeah.
I don't know how to therapy. I've tried on multiple occasions, but while I can make the appointment, when I get in there, I turn back to the default of, I'm fine. I think between emotionally distant and sometimes dismissive parents and shitty friends, I just learned not to say anything. I really don't know how to process or articulate my emotions, and the logical part of my brain wants to dismiss these thoughts as silly, as I've lived a very fortunate, semi-charmed life. While I want something else, what do I need to look for or do to let a therapist know that I need more guidance than I need questions? Thanks, Faulty.
Okay. Couple just immediate thoughts I had. First thought I had is, number 1, don't stress too much about it. Let the therapist kind of do their job.
Yeah.
So you don't really necessarily have to go in with an agenda, per se. But I do think my second point was that I think sometimes you kind of put a lot of pressure on yourself that, like, I got to come in there with something, and then there are things that maybe come up during the week, but then when it comes time for your therapy appointment, you go in there and you're just kind of focused on right now in the moment. I'm fine. One thing that I would encourage you to do is maybe just take some random notes throughout the week. And they don't have to be anything just really groundbreaking, just maybe some observations. You know, so if a client of mine came in and said, you know, here are some notes that I took during the week, just some things that I thought were kind of interesting. That gives us something to kind of jump off from. So I think maybe that might be beneficial, meaningful. But again, the thing that I always go back to...
Treatment plan.
Thank you. Yes.
That's
exactly right.
Buzz.
Yeah.
Treatment plan.
I thought it was
3
good call.
points.
Yes.
3 points.
No, you're
Follow
right. I
through
was
on your
thinking
swing.
if it were the therapist, they're always going to go back to that. But I was going to piggyback off of that because I knew you were going to say treatment plan. And so I already prepped my next follow-up. Was that...
Whitney stopped listening to you as soon as she realized what you were going to say.
I like treatment
I know.
plan, done.
You know what? I like that.
Yeah.
I like that I'm that consistent.
There you go.
It's a good thing. No, what I like is sometimes when I get maybe stuck with a client who's kind of in that I'm fine zone is they do have things they want to work on, like that's on the treatment plan. But maybe they are having a hard time verbalizing that or even digging down to find that. Like, I know this is an issue. I don't know how to talk about it. Sometimes I will include an activity, a worksheet, I say worksheet, like a paper, and I'll ask them to, like, I don't know, anything from listing out where they see themselves in the future or like what are things they think they're good at. Like, I don't know, just a random slew of things depending on the client.
Kind of insight builders.
Even down to what I've found oddly helpful to still stick with the treatment plan, but you wouldn't think it would, is like we have Esther Perel's Where Should We Begin game in our office.
That's cool.
I pick out the sexual ones because they're color coded. I'm like, not those.
You should bring those to the show.
All right, next time.
Pod therapy
I really
after
want
dark.
The
to
answer
do
is
that now.
always the butt.
That-
The butt.
Where to do
Das
first
Butt.
Where should we
masturbate.
begin?
Das
The butt.
I do. That's going to be Patreon content.
Yeah, that's right. That's the one we twitch.
But I have found oddly that when I pull out that game and it will ask something like it'll ask questions like, what is a secret you've never told anyone? Or what is something you really want to tell someone but can't? It's like that will tend to tie back
prompts.
into what
Oh, for sure.
we need to be talking about, even though it's not really directly
Also,
related to a treatment
often
plan
comes
goal.
back to the butt.
It does.
That does,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
where the
surprising
secrets are
amount of
kept.
times.
Not surprising to me.
Oh,
But I think you're right, though, in the sense that, like, a lot of those questions, like, if I'm going into therapy and I'm meeting with a therapist, I'm going there for a reason. There's something that's bothering me. And so, whatever the question is, I'm naturally going to somehow tie it back to what this is, because that's what's on my mind.
Yes.
And that's kind of the filter through which I'm seeing everything. That's a good point.
And it gives me as the therapist a lot to continue. It like gets the ball rolling sometimes. Most of the time we will pull like one card for the whole session. We end up talking about all the things going on, maybe two sometimes if we like reach an endpoint for that.
I like that. I've used those for group.
Ooh,
and I've
group,
never really
yeah.
brought them into individual, but that is a really good resource.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Ryder, that as a therapist, I struggle sometimes whenever I have a patient who I'm like, so what brings us to therapy today? And they don't really have the words yet. And I don't mind helping. I don't mind fishing for it, but I don't want to do that for 4 sessions. I'm going to ask you, why are we here? Which is also where the intake paperwork kind of helps, because it says, why are you coming to therapy? What is your issue? Summarize the problem.
Yeah.
And it really forces people to try to language that. And they obviously don't feel like writing I'm fine on paper. But then sometimes people really will dance around it. They will either leave it blank or they will say, I'm coming in for life advice or something really generic. Yeah, I'm wanting direction. Or I just want to explore some things. And that's okay. Like that's great. But then maybe they do struggle to kind of articulate what it is. And I, like you, will use a couple of different tricks to kind of help bang that drum until we figure out what it is. But at some point it does become difficult. And it's something that I would really want you to sharpen at home and maybe journal on. A really good question that a lot of therapists will use. And so for all of our rookies out there and students, really study the use of the miracle question.
Yes.
So helpful. I mean, whenever you're talking to somebody and they're just really struggling to articulate what they need to change in their lives, we ask them the question that if tomorrow there was a miracle and at the foot of your bed was an angel and the angel said, hey, the universe has chosen you and all of your problems have changed and that thing that was really bothering you is gone, goodbye. And then the angel disappears. And you're thinking, did I dream that? Is that real? Well, you get up and you start living your day. What would be different in your day to day that would convince you that that miracle had occurred? So, for example, if you're here saying, I think I have a drinking problem. Yeah.
Things
I'd be
with
like,
the butt.
I am
Things
special.
with the butt.
Yeah.
Jacob would be.
All the things.
Would be insufferable.
Yeah.
Become unsufferable.
What are you now?
Yeah.
Very sufferable.
Sufferable. Yeah. Moderately sufferable. But yeah, it's a great question for rookies. I use it all the time because I really think it gives somebody the chance to say, okay, let me suss out those details. If they say, well, I wouldn't feel hungover that morning. I'd notice, oh my gosh, I don't feel sick at all. And I wouldn't have to take a drink, to start my day. And I wouldn't be, watching the or whatever it is. You could take any problem. Oh, I'd go outside and my wife would be greeting me and she'd be so happy to see me. And she just wouldn't be able to keep her hands off of me. And our marriage would be revitalized and I'd be so happy and realize that we're going to be okay. And it's like, okay, so now you're teaching me as a therapist what I need to be focused on, right? Because you're not teaching me the problem, you're teaching me the solution.
Yeah.
But that's also revealing the problem.
Another technique that I used to do would be the it kind of goes similar to the miracle question, but the future self.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So like I would use kind of this analogy of like, okay, I want you to kind of imagine it is a nice, beautiful day. It's the perfect temperature, sunset, and it's everything is wonderful and you're out for a walk in the park. But even though the conditions are right and you just can't really enjoy this walk in the park, so you're left with this issue that drove you into therapy, whatever this issue is, and it's just kind of weighing you down. So you decide that you're going to sit down on the park bench and you're just going to think about this for a second. And you realize that there's somebody sitting next to you, an older person, but you don't really realize who this person is. And you're just sitting there thinking about your problem. And then finally you look over and this person is your future self. This is you at 85 years old. And this person looks over at you and they know exactly what you're going through. They know exactly what you're feeling. And they've got a big smile on their face and they slide
Invest in Bitcoin.
They slide over, they put their arm around you and they say, what?
Yeah.
What is it that they say?
Is it gay if we fuck?
That's incest.
Or is
This
this
wasn't-
masturbation.
Okay, let me just stop for a second and explain why this is such a great therapeutic question and why you guys just completely shit on it.
Yeah.
I think it is a fantastic question. I'm
It's
here to make
Jacob's
the
job
joke.
to shit on it.
Jacob is moderately sufferable. We just club.
No,
Yeah.
but one of the things that makes
I
this
think
such
it's a
a good
fantastic
question. One of the things that makes this such a good question
Is
By the way, it's masturbation.
is what's known as a yes set. Okay?
Uh-huh.
A yes set is something, it's this kind of hypnotic technique where so for example, okay, Whitney, when you go to a movie,
Yes.
Quack like a duck.
I love going, like, movies are great. All right. Movies are wonderful.
Okay.
Like, I love watching movies at home, but going to the theater is something, it's a whole different experience
Yep.
where you get there early and you get your popcorn, you get your snacks, you sit down and the lights kind of start to dim and you're like, you get all that excitement and you're like, okay, it's starting. And then you get that big THX sound that comes through, right? Okay, so what I just did there is an example of a yes set.
Yes.
Okay,
Set.
so I'm giving you a whole bunch of things, and as I'm saying all of this stuff, you're nodding, and you're like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And that actually can be a very useful therapeutic technique for any of you new therapists, because what it does,
Mind
you
ninjas.
use a yes set to lead into the miracle question. Because if Jim starts off with, let's say there's this angel, and the angel
Right.
says that, okay, well, right away, you're like, there's
Yeah.
no such thing as angels, Jim.
Right.
Shut
You're
up.
going to get stuck on a premise.
Yeah. So you set up with a yes set to get them like, yes, yes, yes. And then the next thing you say, they're just like, okay,
What
I'm
if they
with
stare
you,
at
right?
you during this whole thing, kind of like that?
But you didn't do that.
I didn't, because I'm in yes mode.
also
I'm
really
positive.
just-
My depressed clients would stare at me. I'm imagining one right
Can
now.
you
just-
imagine how difficult it would be if Jacob was your patient? Like, just, I'm thinking about all these interventions.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
All the butt
exactly
jokes?
what I would
Well,
do.
I mean, we would end up in a 50-minute conversation about fucking his 85-year-old self.
Yeah, Jacob be
And,
like,
like-
avoid.
I mean, it would be like, Jacob would be like going deep into this and then also just being like, I don't know, man, I really think it's masturbation. Like, no, it is, but like, do you see how this is like kind of also fucking weird? And, like,
Freud would be
we should
proud.
unpack
Freud would
this.
be proud.
Yeah, Freud probably would be great.
Oh,
at
there
this.
aren't many people who are better at not talking about something that they don't want to talk about than I am, and making you think that it's your idea that we're not talking about.
It would be very
I
difficult.
could steer a conversation away from what I don't want to talk about with the best of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
He's
Oh.
playing chess. You're playing checkers.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's playing laser tag.
You're playing chess and I'm playing fucking
But
race games.
I'm like, but shoot, I was gonna say one more thing at the end
Then
there.
you said butts.
I did, and now I'm like thinking about that. So, the fact that you wrote into us and are aware that you do this, I mean, pretty basic. Just tell your therapist that, look, I do that. You know, Jacob's kind of joking, like, oh, I can avoid a question. But if Jacob comes into my
you don't
office
want to
and
avoid the question in the therapy session like that. You're paying them to deal with these questions, so fucking like make them make their money.
yeah.
Yeah.
But also, if you know that you're going to try and avoid that because you're okay paying your therapist lots of money to avoid their questions, I mean, tell them that. If I were Jacob, you going, hey, I don't really feel comfortable talking about all this. It's going to be really hard.
That's
like,
fine.
You know, I had one client in particular, like, they struggle staying on task. So some clients I will kind of let it go because that can lead us places. But with those clients, I'm like, nope,
That's
I got to
the problem.
redirect. And they're like,
Right.
all right. And they'll even tell me by then, thank you for like redirecting. I did want to get back to that. Like, just depends on the
You bring
client.
up a really good point. I am very comfortable with somebody telling me at the beginning, hey, I'm struggling with even revealing to you the things that are on my mind. Do you mind if we start slow? I had a session or a patient like that where we met, gosh, probably 8 times. And I kind of like, oh, there it is. I thought we were heading in one direction. And then, like,
Can
on
we
the
just-
7th session, he was
can we
like,
just
okay,
have you
this
play
is
that
the
every
thing.
time
And I
you
was
talk?
like, okay. And, like,
Wow.
totally took a right turn. And I was like,
He's like,
wow.
I've been waiting for this moment.
Yeah, no, he finally opened up and was like, hey, so the real reason I want to do therapy, I'm like, the real reason we've been at this for like months.
Like, we have a whole treatment plan.
Yeah,
like
and he's
Nick
like,
said.
well, this is it. And it's like, okay, well,
This is the discharge meeting.
I'm glad that you're finally
we
opening
had
up
9
about it.
sessions, and it's session 7. You finally decided to open up. That's
Anyway,
great.
Faulty, I think you got a lot of good advice and also
Jacob's
not great
advice.
advice. But you know what? Get in there, be brave. God damn, we need to take away his iPad.
Honestly, I think-
just take it away.
Here's the thing. I think the big point is that like I like the idea of like, hey, you're paying for this,
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you know, and I think
Get
you know,
your time out of it.
yeah,
Well, it's
get
that-
your money's worth.
It's a conversation you have to have with yourself, in all honesty. It
Yeah.
is, what do I want to get out of this? What is going to make me feel like my money that I pay to the therapist, my money that I pay to the insurance company, however you're doing it, or just like, how is this going to be worth my time?
Right. I'm driving all the way over here. I'm
Like,
doing
yeah,
this.
we're gonna do this thing. I'm taking time out of my day. I'm going somewhere. Maybe you're doing it on Zoom. Who knows? But like, I'm taking time out of my day. Let me decide what I want this to what I want to get out of this. What is my goal in this?
I do get though why people fall into this trap.
Of course.
Because it is kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't want to really dive into these issues because it's going to be painful.
Right.
But what I really want is I want to prove to myself that I'm making an effort. So I'll show up for the appointments.
Yeah.
I'll pay my bill.
Mhm.
And then I will kind of shut the door.
And then
Therapy
when
didn't
someone
work.
says, "Hey, you've been in therapy for a while now," maybe a loved one says something to you like, "You've been in therapy for a while now, and it doesn't seem to me like you're making a whole lot of progress. Why is that?" You can say back to them, "Look, I'm showing up. I'm paying the bills. What else do you want me to do?"
Jim's a shitty therapist. What
Yeah.
do you want from me?
It's usually what people say.
That is
How do
the
you
Yelp-
expect
that
me to
is the
get
Yelp- the Yelp
results?
review.
I'm talking to Jim. Anyway, Faulty, good luck with this. Lean on that honesty, and you know what? I mean, if you can break through that barrier and get out of that comfort zone, I think there's a lot of rewards for it and a lot of good things. So,
You know, my whole
find it.
my joke, but not a joke, about pod therapists, about therapists being prostitutes,
there it is.
about being sex workers. It is so much more similar than anybody in this room is comfortable saying, because it is you are going into a scenario to do something with someone that you wouldn't do with anyone else.
Good point.
You're going in there to really work on yourself and to really kind
there's
of
a
dig into
vulnerability.
it. There's a huge vulnerability.
Yeah.
But you are paying you're paying a professional, presumably.
Really good at sex.
Yep. You're paying a professional to be there, to work with you, and to not judge you.
Right. That's very true.
The whole gimmick
Yeah.
is you're paying them to not judge you and to leave when you're done.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I guess you leave because it's their office.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you got to Uber us home
Yeah.
usually after we're done with the session.
But I mean, take confidence in that.
Right.
Take confidence in, like if you have to think of it like, this is my employee and they're doing what I'm paying them to do, okay. I mean, it doesn't give you a license to abuse anyone or anything like that, obviously.
No.
But I mean, that is what they are there for. They are
a good
there to
point.
take that burden alongside of you,
Yeah.
and to help work on it.
So, Whitney, what you missed is Jacob just made an entire point about how therapists are essentially sex workers.
Ooh.
And it actually worked. It worked very
I'll have
well.
to listen back.
Yep.
Oh,
later.
with the exception of the pay to student debt ratio.
The student debt is much
That,
higher.
I think, is-
than
Aside from that,
I feel
very
like you're making
solid
a lot of
analogy.
presumptions about the education level of sex workers,
He's
Joe.
right.
barrier to
he's
entry.
right. Actually, most therapists become sex workers because
Got to pay off that
you
debt.
can't pay off that debt. Can't make it. As we wrap up the show, we want to remind you can sign up at patreon.com/therapy. You can get the extended show ad-free a day early, as well as enjoy our live chat, Discord community, and our weekly deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research roundups, and rants. And as we get ready to thank some folks, we always thank you whenever you sign up. We try to thank you on the very next show. And then once a month, if you are a Therapod or higher, we take a beat to thank you. And we've got some new people come into the show. I'm going to thank them because I know you're going to screw this up.
Thank you.
New Theropods, Pierce, Jenny Rose, and Sinsitium.
Yep, I would have screwed that up.
Nailed.
Nice.
I'm not convinced that Jim didn't.
Also, because that first one literally said, "Please do not put my full name on this," and then you put their.
I
full
did
name.
not see that.
That's what they. Okay, I tagged you on Discord because they brought it up on Discord, and then I tagged you. That's fine.
Nick
That's
doesn't know
not.
how Discord works.
You're
If-
100% right.
If you
No,
tag
that's on
Nick
me.
on something
Yeah.
on Discord,
Yes.
it's your own fault
You're
for thinking that he's going to look at
100%
it.
right.
Thank you, Jacob.
Yeah.
No, there's
I'm here for
no
you, buddy.
question.
Thank you.
There's no doubt. All right, we doing the
If you tag
theropods.
Nick or myself on Discord, I mean,
It's
you
not
might as
gonna
well
happen.
put a message in a bottle and
Yeah.
throw it in the ocean.
Throwing a rock into the sea.
We might get it.
Get a
That's
pigeon.
true.
Just
Yeah.
send the little carrier
The
pigeon.
pigeons are great. All right,
All right,
theropods.
We're doing
Do it, girl.
theropods. Whoop. All right. We have, let me zoom in because these are tiny written.
Put on your
All right.
glasses.
Yeah, I don't
Old
need them
lady.
yet, I swear. Newstick, Robert Paulson, Polygon, Colin, Scoopstronaut, Richard Bruins, Linda Brandmeier,
Yep.
Corey Owens, Joseph Pangrazio, Christine Phillips, Gavin
Jesus.
Bristow, Carrie Terhark, Stacy Westerlin, Scooby Just, Kiwi Fruit Scoop, James K, Chelsea Saracen, Craig Little, Katie Chwialkowski,
Yep.
Don Doer, Jim Hunter, Adam Ribchick,
Yes.
Brooks Lyle.
These are great.
Take It EV Podcast, Sustainable Transportation for All. Todd Canfield, Felicia Butler, David Sorensen, Shayla Bullock, Scoopatron, Lauren Izzo, Stacy Coleman, Adam Pedinuzzo. I like that too.
Also racist.
Why is that racist?
He's Chinese.
How do you know?
I've met him.
They can't be Chinese and Italian. Who's racist now? Matt's Lindgren, Scooper Ascending, Ian Soto, Jessica Cyphers, That Josh Guy, Lee Popsicle, Dr. Scoop Little, Mama Ninja Scoop, James Dawson, Colson Morrow, Sarah Allo, Grumpy Lake Mead Park Ranger, Sam Buck, Karen McCulloch, Megan Smith, What Weekend, Some_Nobody, BP, Lila, Be Gay, Do Crimes, as Jim says it, Kelly Gagner, Nippy, Brian Emra, Drew Halige, Alec Lancaster, Matthew Johnson, A Literal Pickle, Matthias Vandebrandt, James Hubble, Max the Ginger Scoop, Ken Tinsley, Watergirl, Andres Saavedra Molina,
That's good.
Yeah, thanks.
that was really
Stacy, Protect and Scoop, Cody the DeLorean Guy, Anona Nurse, Julius Capel, Jim Mills, Smells Funny, Brady Mlechik. Okay, Matt Kubik, Duffy the Slowly Getting Their Therapist Bear, Chad the Safety Lad, Walker Fluke, Kierkegaard, Irvin Santon, Philip Guyton, Timistry, Almost Dr. Nurse Joey, Joel McMillan, Melissa L. Geyser, Christopher DeGurchi, Trisha
right.
Ortiz, Kirsten Johnson, Chris Conway, DJ Stewart, Mississippi Hippie, I love that, Tiny Home Traveling, Chris and Alyssa, Scott A, Fifi, Laura B, Patty Glad, Todd Vrooman, Burnt Toast, Anthony Camarada, Eli, Heather W, Freya Lawson, Kyle, David Williams, Kate.
Williams is the one you choke on.
I
That's
know,
cool.
Williamson is what I want to say,
Oh,
and then
okay.
it's not. So I'm like, Williams is Kate Palissy, Mark Oriana, Buddy Dobbins, Eric Dyer, Emma Kane, Susie Kathleen, Adam Warren, Jo Beth R. Bowers, Trontastic, Glitch Scoop, Stephen Landon, Shy Ruperl, Elena, Aletta Balatsk, John.
Well, some of those aren't even letters.
I hear that. John Finlayson, exclamation point K, Pizzle Dizzle, ampersand, amp, semicolon. Robert Knoll, Kenneth Wong, Tasha, Rachel Rakowski. So, how do you say it? Syncytium?
That feels right.
Sure.
Nope. Pierce.
Pierce.
There you go.
I'm like, Jeff Darnell, Silka Daniels, Jenny Rose, Jacob Billingsley.
Whew, well done, girl. I like it.
I'm proud of
You
myself.
want to do the pterodactyls?
Sure.
No, not you.
Thank
Oh.
you, Ice Blue Scoop, Brian Lehman, Scoop
Thought I did a good
Brady,
job.
Fred Bashara Jr., Andrew Anderson, Scoop Lindsay, Frozen Cusser, Lori Eltsroth, Robert Ward, Cy Shonigan, Okie Scoop, Dank Butter, Andrew Langmead, Lovely Spark, and TKO.
And thank you to our partners, the benevolent, revered, generous, and flagrantly pro-therapy diehards who love you all so much they give till it hurts. Dirty B, Myra, and Pickett. and our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of our fan club, the Therapy Producers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Robert Downey Jr. Mint. I want him to sing what's that song?
Ave Maria.
There it is, Ave Maria.
Ave.
Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Ton, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Mrs. and Mr. Hot Dog Scoop, Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley Slap in Your Face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, University Jeff, Mike Helm, Paris, Samantha Cohn, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder, Cougar Falcon Scoop, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slurpikaye, motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, and Hannah Marie.
And if you would like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
And
Why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we got for this week's session. Want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, Pod Therapy isn't something to keep all to yourself. Share the episode with someone who needs it. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys on Twitter, on Threads, and on Instagram, and it's /PodTherapy on Facebook. Don't forget about all the extra goodies at patreon.com/therapy.
And if you want to submit a question to the show, you can ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Jim.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
All right, we got one more, right?
Last
Yeah.
All right.
one. Last one.
And I'm dominating.
For all the marbles.
Are you?
Oh boy,
3, 2, 1.
This one's worth 10 points.
Oh, shit.
10 points.
this is my chance.
Church.
This is your chance. So none of the other
Church is
questions ever
chicken.
mattered, I guess.
Bleecker. Oh, canal.
Oh.
Buzz.